All right, let's jump right in. The idea of hiring the absolute best talent from anywhere on the planet. I mean, it's incredibly exciting, right? It promises this amazing future of innovation, flexibility, and a truly global team. And it's a big but, behind that promise lies this tangled maze of hidden legal complexities. It really is the ultimate question, isn't it? That dream of a borderless workforce where your talent, not your zip code, is the only thing that matters. But can you really just pack up and work from anywhere? And that's the real heart of what we're talking about today. The dream of hiring a brilliant developer in Lisbon while you're sitting in Austin is just beautifully simple. The reality, though? Well, that involves trying to navigate this web of international tax laws, labor codes, and immigration rules that can turn that dream into a compliance nightmare fast. So, to make sense of all this, here's our game plan. We're going to start with what I call the global work paradox. Then we'll look at the three main ways you can actually hire someone overseas. We'll uncover those hidden legal icebergs, talk about protecting your company's secrets, and then wrap up with a playbook for doing all of this the smart way. Okay, first up, let's unpack this central paradox of global work. It really boils down to a fundamental shift in how you think about whose rules you're playing by. And this is that fundamental shift right here. When you hire someone in, say, Germany, you're not playing by US rules anymore. You're playing by German rules. And it's not just one rule, it's this whole matrix of compliance. Each of these areas is totally interconnected. For instance, if you get worker classification wrong, you can trigger this cascade of problems across taxes and labor law. It just goes to show you really need a holistic strategy. So how do companies actually go about this? Well, there are generally three main paths they can take. And believe me, the choice they make has massive implications for risk, cost, and just how fast they can move. First step is the one you see most often. And you know what? It's also the riskiest. Hiring someone as an independent contractor. It seems so easy on the surface. Less admin, no need to set up a whole foreign company. But here's the trap. If you start treating that contractor like an employee by setting their hours or managing them directly, foreign governments can reclassify them. And when that happens, the penalties can be severe. And when I say severe, I mean it. We're not talking about a small slap on the wrist here. Companies have been hit with fines and back tax payments totaling over $200 million for getting this wrong. It just highlights this crucial point. The actual day-to-day working relationship you have with someone matters way more than whatever title you put on the contract. Now, the second path is the complete opposite. This is where you go all in, setting up your own legal company, a subsidiary, in the worker's country. Sure, it gives you total control, but it is incredibly expensive and it takes forever. I mean, you're talking about registering with local tax authorities, managing local legal filings. It's really only a viable option if you're planning a huge long-term presence there. And this brings us to the third path, which is a really modern solution called an employer of record, or EOR. Just think of an EOR as your local compliance partner on the ground. They become the legal employer in that foreign country, and they handle everything: the payroll, the taxes, benefits, local labor laws, while the employee still works for your company every day. So when you lay it all out like this, the trade-offs become crystal clear. The contractor model seems easy, but it's hiding these huge misclassification risks. Direct employment is safe, but it comes with a massive compliance burden. And this is right where the EOR model finds its sweet spot. It's designed to eliminate that risk and absorb the compliance burden for you so you can hire safely without having to create a whole new company overseas. Okay, now that we get the different models, let's talk about the hidden dangers. These are the legal icebergs, the things lurking just beneath the surface that can totally sink a global hiring strategy if you're not looking out for them. This is a big one: permanent establishment risk. In simple terms, this is when your remote employees' work, especially if they're signing contracts or bringing in revenue, accidentally creates a taxable presence for your entire company in their country. It's like a stealth corporate tax liability you never saw coming. So just look at how this chain reaction can happen. Let's say you have an employee in Spain, and they're signing sales contracts on behalf of your US company, right from their home office. Well, the Spanish tax authorities could look at that and say, that home office is now a permanent establishment for your company. And just like that, boom, your US company is on the hook for Spanish corporate taxes on all the profits from those sales. Another huge risk is what I call the tourist visa for work myth. Let's be perfectly clear on this. A tourist visa is for temporary visits and maybe some meetings. Using it for day-to-day remote work is flat out illegal. And the consequences are serious. We're talking fines, deportation for the individual, and your company getting red flagged for any future visa applications. Now, the good news is that governments are finally starting to catch up. We're seeing this wave of new policies, like these digital nomad visas that are now offered in 49 different countries. These create real, proper legal pathways for people to live abroad while they're working for a foreign company. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about protecting your company's most valuable assets when your team is spread all over the globe, your intellectual property and your data. This is such a critical point, and so many companies miss it. In many countries, the default legal position is that the creator owns the IP. Just let that sink in for a second. If your contract isn't absolutely watertight and specifically tailored to local law, the brilliant code that contractor just wrote for you, it could legally belong to them, not you. And then there's data privacy. Laws like Europe's GDPR have what's called extraterritorial reach. What this means is if your US company hires an employee in France, you are now legally required to comply with GDPR for that employee's personal data. You can't just apply US rules anymore. You are now subject to global regulations and their very steep penalties. And the financial stakes here are just enormous. Studies show that when a data breach happens and remote work is a factor, think unsecured home Wi-Fi or personal devices, the average cost of that breach jumps by over $1 million. It's a powerful reminder that robust cybersecurity is absolutely non-negotiable. Okay, so we've looked at this whole maze of challenges. Now, let's talk about the solution. Here is a strategic playbook for building a global team that is safe, compliant, and ready to scale. The key here is to see this playbook as a continuous loop, not a one-time checklist. It all starts with assessing your risk country by country and actually tracking where your people are. From there, you build your foundation. You partner with local experts to create rock-solid policies. And then finally, for execution and scale, leveraging an EOR often becomes the linchpin that holds the entire strategy together. So the most crucial takeaway is this. Thinking about compliance isn't just about avoiding fines. It's a real strategic advantage. Companies that build a strong, proactive compliance framework can move faster, they can attract better talent, and they can operate with way more confidence on the global stage. It's truly about enabling growth, not just avoiding risk. And really, that's what it all comes down to. As you think about tapping into this incredible global talent pool, you've got to ask yourself this question. Are you just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best? Or are you actually building a foundation of smart compliance that turns the enormous opportunity of global remote work into a sustainable strategic advantage?